Hello, and welcome back to the community of we. I'm so glad that you're here and to join me each week as I discuss grief. I am so excited about these things because this is happening so much in our world. And so, for those of you that are just joining in for the first time, I'm Dr. Barclay. The community knows me as Dr. B. Welcome. Now, for this week, I'm going to be talking about bargaining. Bargaining in the grief cycle. Bargaining. What does that mean? Inquiring minds want to know. Bargaining. Well, let me just jump right into it. Bargaining. Bargaining is this stage of grief where we have just went through a full-blown episode of anger, and we have just experienced all those emotions, and we've understood how to process all those emotions, and we've given ourselves permission to experience self-compassion. But then we go right into the bargaining, which kind of puts things on pause a little bit, because we want to bargain our way through the reality. We want to bargain our way through accepting what is. And let me give you an example of that. Bargaining is like, if you do this, I'll do that. Or if I can have this, I'll do this. Or would you please do this? And if you do this, I'll do that. However, it doesn't take away, it doesn't change the reality of what's happening. Grief is going to happen to every last one of us at some point in time. And it's necessary that we go through these stages in a way where it's healthy. You'll hear me from week to week, like I've said, to be present. We were present in shock and disbelief, present in denial, present in anger, and now present in bargaining. So I want to give you a real life story that actually happened many years ago, right when I first got married, and my mother-in-law was going through sickness, and it was a shock to everyone because we didn't know that it had gotten to this point. And so my husband, being best friends with his mom, that he felt led to go on a 40-day fast. And during this 40-day fast, it was a lot. And he did water, minimum fruits, minimum vegetables, and that was it for 40 days. And during this 40 days, he was praying and believing and trusting God that his mom would pull through on this side, and that she would be healed, and she will be raised, and she will walk and not be in pain and not go through the suffering that she was experiencing. Now imagine watching my husband go through this in those 40 days. He was feeling like he was becoming stronger and stronger in his faith, and that what he was praying and believing was going to come to pass. And he felt like during this time in his fasting and praying that his mom would be healed on this side. And so after the end of the 40 days of fasting occurred, and the progression of his mom's health continued to decline, and then on that day when we got the news that she had transitioned, it was a complete and utter shock. And it was like, even in getting that phone call and then going to the hospital, my husband went to the hospital, I stayed behind at home with our children. It was like on his drive there, he was still believing that she was going to raise up from being transitioned into the next phase and next life. And when he got to the hospital, he saw that it didn't happen. He saw that in his somewhat of a bargaining stage of, I am going to fast, I'm going to consecrate myself, I'm going to believe and trust that my mom is going to be healed on this side. Well, the healing did take place, but not on this side. It took place in her transitioning to be with God. And so, with that and seeing him go through that, it was so heart-wrenching for all of us, especially him, because how close and near and dear that he was to her, and they were best friends. And it wasn't until our pastor at the time said to him, he said, I know that your faith is strong, and your faith was it's just powerful in this moment right now. And you were believing that your mom was going to be healed. She was going to raise up from this bed, and all was going to be well. And he said, and if you could, you probably would have reached into the afterlife and pulled her back. But how angry would your mom have been to come back into this mortal body in the condition in which it was, where it was deteriorating, and the pain that she experienced? He said, would you really want that for her? And right in that second of our pastor at the time told him this information is when he began to be okay with what was going on. It still hurt. It still was painful. There were no words to express the pain that he and all of us were going through. But in that moment is when he stopped being in the place of bargaining, but coming to a place of acceptance and knowing that this is the reality of what's going on. Is no more of, if I do this, can I have this? Or if I do that, will you allow this to happen? It was getting to the point in the bargaining stage of grief, of realizing this is the reality. You cannot postpone it. You cannot change what is. You cannot make it be something that is not. But you're getting to the point where you're like, okay, here we are. I can't postpone this. It's happened. No matter how much I did this, I cannot stop what was already set in motion to occur. And so for all of us that are in this bargaining stage of grief, know this, that I'm not saying not to believe. I'm not saying not to have hope. What I am saying that in this stage of bargaining, like I've said from week to week, it is important to be present. It's important to hope. Yes, definitely do not ever lose sight of the hope that we have and wanting another outcome to be. But when when the outcome does not occur in the manner in which we're hoping for, get to the place that we are present with the reality. Because like I said last week, when we are getting past the stage of anger and we're allowing that level of resilience to build, and I said resilience was going to be necessary for the remaining stages, in this bargaining, it's like we're trying to postpone the reality of what is occurring. It could either be a loved one that's transitioning, which it was in our case with my mother-in-law. It could be you receiving news regarding something that's happening within your own body that you can't reverse. Yes, healing can occur. Healing has happened, and healing will continue to be. In some cases, that healing does not manifest in the way that we are expecting it to be. And so when that happens, and we can no longer postpone what we're hoping the outcome to be, we're getting to the place in the stage of bargaining where, again, that resilience is still being built. That level of resilience is still being built to the point where it's giving us strength that is growing. So as I come to a close, I want you to remember to always continue to build communities of unity. It is so vital for our survival together. Until next week, you all be well, in peace, and stay healthy.